Come over here. Share this. Yeah. All right. I think we got it. Can you all see the first slide? Yes.
No.
No?
Yes. No. Let me take.
Uh-oh.
If you can't see it, you should swipe to the left.
Uh-oh. Let me start it again.
Okay.
All right, I'll start it again. Hold on. All right, we are starting. Let's go ahead and share. Let's start this again. All right, everyone should see the 5S voice method.
Oh, yes.
Okay,
yeah.
Excellent. The first slide, that's what I was saying.
That's been up all the time.
Look at you. All right, now, okay, so what I'm going to ask is that we all go on mute. I'm going to open up the chat, but I definitely want you all engaging in the chat, okay? I'm going to be asking questions and needing some feedback from you all, so definitely want you all engaging in the chat, but I am going to go through this and we are going to have questions at the end. All right, so it is time. Welcome to the 5S Voice Method webinar. This is where I am introducing my 5S Voice Academy and talking about my teaching method and the ways that I incorporate training and longevity into and science into vocal training. All right. I have designed this academy for working singers, for real world singers, for singers who have been in the business or want to get back in the business, but never really had an opportunity to study their voice and have an opportunity to learn technique and implement it in their singing. Now, this is not for only for classical singers. This is not only for one style of singer, but this is breaking down the basics and fundamentals of vocal technique into all singing styles. Okay, so in my years of training, I've taught collegiate voice for almost 20 years. I've done all my degree work in vocal performing and studying what we call the pedagogy or the science of the voice. And I've learned that all of these elements, all of these checkpoints, all of these things that we deal with on a regular basis can boil down or trickle down into these 5 fundamental S's. Okay. So what this is, it is not, again, it's not a shortcut, but what I'm presenting is a system. And this is the system that I have designed and worked on for years. Larissa has been in on the early stages of this system and developing of this. But this is the method that I've been able to come up with and design for, again, everyday singers that can coach you across the different styles you're singing, across the different levels. It's not only for professionals. This is a system that can be put in place for beginners as well. All right. So again, this is designing a system for you to be able to apply technique to whatever kind of singing you do for consistent results. All right. So I want to hear from you all now. And I want you to tell me what makes you feel stuck as a singer. What kinds of things have you stuck in your singing? And you can put that. It might be your breathing. It might be your confidence. I don't want to tell you what to put, but I definitely want to hear from you all on what kind of things or what things end up having you stuck as a singer. And you can go ahead and drop that in the chat. Hear from you all. All right, it's coming through. Yes. Yes, breathing and the breaks in your voice. All right, Larissa, yes. So that breath support and then the break when, you know, our voice has those breaks or it crackles or it strains, those things. Anyone else? The types of things that have you stuck in your singing. Yep, come on. Yep. Does anyone want to come off mute? Is it easier to just come off mute and tell me? Go ahead. Do you want to come off mute and tell me? Yes,
Okay.
Michelle.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's my breathing technique, and I would say the consonants as well.
Okay.
Uh,
So articulation.
Articulation, absolutely.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah. And
working
your
on that.
diction. Yes. And then your breathing. Are you running out of air too soon? What kind of things happening with your breath?
I'm running out of air too soon, but I'm learning. I'm working with that.
Oh yes, we all are. Yes, but
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to know. What kinds of things are we working on, Dr. Grace?
Oh yes, like she said, the consonants,
Yes.
the vowels, and just doing the exercises to get over that passaggio, that break,
Okay, so
you
the
know.
breaks in your voice and then the
Hmm.
articulation as well. Yes.
Right. Hmm.
JJ, did you have anything? No. All right. So all the things that we end up dealing with, whether it's breath control, whether it's the breaks in our voice, our range, whether it is articulation, I have found that many of these things again translate back to our system of singing and what we're doing with our voices, okay, and our approach to our singing method. So a lot of times we end up practicing over and over again, but we're just doing the same things without actually improving. Sometimes we repeat exercises, vocal exercises, but we don't really know why. We don't really know what exactly we're working on. Or if we want to fix some symptoms, we don't know exactly what to use or what exercises we can use to work on the things that we are wanting to improve in. And then a lot of times we wake up day to day and we don't even know what our voice is going to do that day, right? So being able to identify what our voice needs. Much of this is not an issue of our talent. It is an issue of our coordination and the system or lack of systems that we have in place. All right. So as I said, what I have found in my training and my working and my studying and learning about the science of the voice is all of these things. It really doesn't matter what a client names. It can be traced back to one of these elements. Okay. Articulation can be traced back to both the space that we have for the vowel, as well as being able to submit to the words and submit to the text that we are communicating. Of course, that breath, running out of breath, relates to our support, but it also relates to the strength of our breath and how we control that breath in order to control the sound. Everything relates back to that breath support, how we control the breath, how we use the space in our mouth, how we use the smile or the resonance, and then whether or not we can submit and be stable in what our voice needs and what we're producing every time, so that it's not just a shot in the dark and that we're not just hoping that we get the sound that we want. All right. Yes, feel free to take screenshots, please. I want you all to be able to hang on to this information. So this is, again, the 5S system. The support, strength, space, smile, and submit will lead us to stability in our voices, vocal control, vocal freedom, vocal projection, and sustainability of our voices. All right. So from there, that first S1, what we are dealing with is the support issue, okay? And it's not just an alignment of our breath, but it's an alignment of our bodies as well. That foundational support, and we say all the time in classical training, our bodies are our instrument. So learning to be aware of what our body is doing and how it is either adding to or taking away from what we need to feel as singers, okay? And this diagram here is not meant to show you that we have to have perfect alignment at all times and we must be perfectly straight, but it gives us a neutral point of where we can feel relaxed in our body. And the more relaxed, the more in alignment we can feel in our body, we can eliminate signs of tension in our sound, and tightness and stiffness in our neck and shoulders, and we can eliminate the inconsistencies in our tone just by being aware of any tension or stiffness in our bodies, okay? And our daily habits many times have an effect on that, all right? In the academy, I have exercises that really deal with body alignment and breath control, as well as I explain how body alignment plays a factor into our support, all right? Then, of course, it is our breath support and understanding what all goes into a full breath, a deep breath, and filling up those lungs for singing. And it's not so much, I know you've heard breathe from your diaphragm, sing from your diaphragm. And that's one of my pet peeves in vocal training, because the diaphragm is not something we can breathe into. We breathe into our lungs, and understanding that and understanding how the diaphragm or the muscles around it engage the air in our lungs really makes a difference in how we use that breath. All right. And then how we start to coordinate our air for the different types of styles we're singing, for the different intensities of sound that we want. But first, understanding that having control and coordinating our breath is what is going to coordinate our sound. All right. So if you're dealing with any of these symptoms, many times it translates back to a foundational support issue. So doing exercises, drilling, I'll have some tips and exercises at the end that we can do on our own, as well as explaining more about the academy. But in the academy, I have breathing exercises. I go into even deeper explanations about how the breath works and how we can coordinate the muscles, whether we know what the muscles are or not, but having a better understanding of what is working to produce the airflow that we need to get the sound that we want. All right. So we can't just push through poor alignment. We have to be more self-aware, and it's never going to be perfect. I'm not preaching perfection. I'm preaching progress and applicate and awareness of what our bodies are doing and how we can better use them to get the results that we want. All right. So that's S1 is support. Moving on to S2 is the strength of our sound. And the strength of our sound is not just in how loud we can be. It is really in how we can control our breath or control our sound. All right. If you're you talked about the breaks in your voice, Larissa. If we're dealing with cracks or flips, many times that is how we are controlling the airflow or the consistency in our airflow. If that breath support is not consistent, just like in the gear shifts in a car engine, you'll hear that shift over. You're hearing the voice shift over into another gear. Our job in our strength in the control of our breath is to provide the right amount of air pressure and space so that we can control the breaks and we can control the sound throughout the breaks and work towards a seamless sound throughout. But without consistency in that breath support and engaging all the muscles that support the air throughout, it is going to be, it's a shot in the dark. Training these muscles for muscle memory is really what is going to ensure consistency. It's all about that muscle memory. All right. Some people come out with a more natural affinity in their singing, a more natural vocal production. That doesn't mean that level can't be achieved. Their muscles memorize or remember a style of singing much more easily than some others. All right. So you might call those persons more naturally talented. But even still, as you grow, as we get older, as our voices change, as our bodies change, having a consistent system in place underneath that talent is going to ensure that the voice can withstand the changes in our lives. Okay. I'm a mother, changes in having a child. We already know it's going to change that support system. So being able to know what I need to feel, what I need to engage here to work around those things that might affect my singing. Okay. So that is how we control our breath and how we power our sound. The strength is not the loudness, as I said before, but it is the control of our voices. All right. So that's S2, strength. Moving on to S3. That is the space in our voice, in our throat, and understanding. How many of us deal with any of these symptoms? If your singing sometimes might get tight, it might sometimes get too nasal or might be muffled. You can definitely drop that in the chat. Strength is definitely an issue. I see you, Larissa. Yes. It might get stuck in your throat. And yes, I'm trained, but I'm not saying I sing perfectly all the time. But I do understand my voice enough, and I do have a system in place to practice and get it in the position that I know I need to feel, where it's not stuck in my throat. The tone is clear, and I know exactly how I need to project that sound through my anatomy. All right. So in the academy, I explain more. I go do a deep dive into the anatomy, what is happening as the sound travels through the vocal tract, and the optimal space that we need and can use to get the optimal sound. It's not always the same space, but understanding when I'm in my low range, what space do I need there? When I'm in my mixed range or middle range, what do I need there for it to be free and consistent? Upper range, when I'm belting, when I'm head voice, when I'm all these different things, space do I need to have to be able to be free and consistent in my airflow and in my sound? All right. So that is S3, space. All right. My smile. Smile is not just for you to look pretty. And it's not just for emotion, even though it's very helpful, but it is for us to be able to lift the sound acoustically. All right. If we deal with our voice getting stuck, and maybe not being projected, maybe not being heard, maybe the voice feels dull or heavy, these things right in here, the muscles in our face, we call it singing in the mask, but they allow the sound, as you can see these vibrations coming up, they allow the sound not only to resonate through here, but there's a whole resonating chamber right here behind our nose. And if the sound waves are able to travel and resonate off of all of this through the mask, we're able to get even more resonance, even more fullness in our sound without pushing from the throat. Okay, so this is just one of the diagrams that I use in the academy to explain the science behind the resonance and the placement of our voice, and being able to place it to where the tone is bright, the tone is forward, and it's not stuck and caught in our throats. All right. All right, let's keep going. Yes, I'm making really good time. All right. And the last S is submit, being able to submit to what our voice needs day to day. If our voice is feeling tired or hoarse, being able to submit to protecting our voice, resting our voices, taking whatever we can to ensure that our vocal cords have a chance to reset. And we're not constantly putting pressure and adding weight and strain to them. Even if we might feel a little under the weather, and I'm not exempt from injury. I have had a vocal injury myself. But even if we're feeling under the weather, having a better understanding of our voice and of our technique can allow us to maneuver and still allow us to sing without forcing the sound. All right. I've had to sing when I've been under the weather, but if I pushed the sound and tried to get a tone that really I didn't have the support for, or I didn't even have the energy for, or maybe my vocal cords were a little swollen, then I would end up causing injury. And that is what happened when I had my vocal injury. I was under the weather and I pushed the fullness of my sound without making any adjustments. And then I ended up hemorrhaging. This is not my vocal cord. I didn't hemorrhage this badly, but this is an example of a hemorrhage where you can burst a blood vessel. These, of course, here are nodules, but with consistent friction, if we're not being aware of the pressure and the strain that we're putting on our voices, over time, these kinds of calluses can and will develop. And things have developed and progressed with surgery, but there's nothing that even with surgery, you will still have to go through a period of complete vocal silence and complete vocal rest. And if your well-being and if your finances depend on you being able to use your voice, then of course that is going to interfere with you being able to make money. So having that understanding, knowing when to and how to rest your voices, knowing when to having a recovery plan, that is very important. I speak with a lot of worship singers who might have 2 or 3 services, but they're talking in between services, or they don't have any downtime, or maybe after that they're going to do this and going to do that. I say you have to have a plan in between services, and the way that you warm up as well as the way you warm down to be able to ensure that your vocal cords can rest and recover. Consistently putting pressure on them after all of that use is really detrimental. So having that understanding, not to be afraid of using it, but to just be aware and mindful and protective of your voice. And then getting to how many of us deal with confidence issues? How many of us deal with, not liking to hear ourselves sing? I don't like to hear myself. I get I understand getting nervous and all of those things. Yes. But the mind is the strongest muscle that we sing with. All right. And being able to take time to affirm our mindset in our singing is so very important. We don't really teach about that in vocal training. You don't get that a lot. But I have found with the clients that I work with in my years of teaching collegiate voice that if that mind ain't right, and if we don't really value and appreciate, whether we have work to do or not, if we have to be the ones that value and appreciate the voices that we have, and also be strategic and set goals for where we want our voices to be. And comparing our voices to, I want to sound like this person, that person is comparison is a thief of all joy. So it's going to take the joy away from your gift of singing. The voice itself and being able to sing is something that scientists say stimulate your nervous system. So even being able to sing is something that is bringing joy and therapy to your body, to your spirit, to your mindset. And when we are silent with that, if we are insecure about that and it causes us to hide it under a bushel, I'm not going to start preaching, but it causes us to not share that and not partake in it, we're doing ourselves and the people around us a disservice. All right. So I just want to speak into that and being able to speak into affirming our voices, whether you use my affirmations or not. Start being kind to yourself and start appreciating and listening to yourself for the good things you hear, not the mistakes, but the things that you like about your voices. All right. Anyway, longevity is not a skill. It is a skill, it's not luck. So if we want to be able to support the sustainability of our sounds, the mindset of our singing to achieve the goals, we have to work on our skill of singing. All right. And submit to that. Let's keep going. Okay. So here are the practice tips that I want to leave you all with before we talk about the academy. And I'll start. These are just a few kind of basic things, but I talk about these in the academy as well as in the academy. I have exercise videos, lots of other more in-depth training videos to work on each of these S's. But the first S being that support tips would be first to watch yourself. Whether you're watching yourself in a mirror or recording yourself, it's very important to be aware, because a lot of times we don't even know what our bodies are doing. We're just doing it. And we've been doing it our whole lives. So being able to see what we are doing physically that is either adding to is something, oh, that really does help my support, or oh, I see the way my body is. I can't get a good breath when I'm slouched over like that. Just being aware of what these subconscious habits are and how we can rework these habits to work on our support and to get our bodies and our breath in alignment. So watch yourselves, all right, and enjoy it. Start to enjoy it. Another tip would be to trill on the song. So whether that's a lip trill, I did the Star Spangled Banner. Oh, I'm gonna do lift every voice and sing. And if you find that trill is sputtering, that lets you know that there's some inconsistency in the support, or inconsistency, and there's some tension in the airflow. And what we want to do is get consistency in the airflow and freedom of that air, so we can have that air, we can have that freedom in our sound. All right. So whether it's a lip trill, I think I did a tongue trill that time. That was you can also do lip trill. So you can practice your entire song on a trill. All right. That will really help you to isolate what your breath support is or is not doing. And really, I would say if you're not able to trill through the whole song, work on it until you can, because it's going to work wonders for how you train your breath muscles to go throughout the song. Okay. Even when it's high, low, fast, slow, whatever. All right. So those are just a few practice tips that you can use for your support. Another one for your strength of your breath would be soft singing. If you do a lot of belting, if you do a lot of loud singing, usually this is really good for those kinds of singers to be able to control their sound, even with minimal airflow. So it would be a difference between lift every voice and sing. If you find yourself singing soft and it's till earth and heaven ring, you know that doesn't feel good. So being able to sing soft but controlled at the same time. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. But really working on keeping the airflow consistency in the tone, okay? That is going to give you even more flexibility in being able to crescendo on that tone. So lift every voice and sing. I have more flexibility when I come from a place of softness or a place of consistent airflow. But if I'm already starting off, lift every voice, and then when I try to get quieter, it's harder to control. Okay. So it's easier to control the voice, or more consistent to control the voice, when we're coming from that head voice softer placement. All right. Also, another exercise for strength would be buzz singing. So that would be bzzz. And you really want to feel that air resistance in your buzz. All right. So it's not bzzz, but bzzz. You really want to keep the teeth and the tip of the tongue touching the roof of the mouth. And that is what is creating the resistance in the airflow. So you can really work. You should have felt something right here in this abdomen kind of twerk or twitch. And that is engaging that support system so that you're working through the resistance and you know how much air you need to engage for the pitch that you're on. So the higher you go, you're going to need more air. But if you don't have enough airflow, you'll go zzz, zzz. And if we keep that buzz going, the higher we go, then it requires us to use even more support and consistency and strength in our airflow. All right. So that's just another tip for being able to practice on the strength of your sound, or more so being able to control the strength of your sound. All right. Now, the space tips are straw singing. I love straw singing. I am not one that tells you have to go and buy those expensive singer straws. No shade to those of you who have them, but I will just go to the dollar store and buy regular, small straws. They're not, they're drinking straws. They're not too fat, but they're also not too tiny to where they're like coffee stirrers. Okay. So they do need to be a drinking straw, but they can be, a small space, and you can use that. And when you sing, this is called an SOVT exercise, semi-occluded vocal tract exercise. And when you sing through the straw, it will require you to adjust the space so that you're not overpowering the breath. And if it's too much pressure, that's letting you know you need to relax the space. All right. If you're feeling that lets you know you've got too much tension and pressure in the space. All right. So this is an exercise. It should feel good. You want it to feel good. You don't want it to feel tight and strained. If it is feeling tight and strained, you need to make an adjustment to your space or your air pressure. All right. Another exercise would be vowel tracking to help with space. And that would be you either practice the song on one vowel to make sure that you have enough space throughout. So that would be maybe we pick ah, and get used to an open space. So when you go to sing, lift every voice and sing. So everything has that ah space. Or the vowel tracking that I really love is where you're singing on the vowels of the words to identify the exact space you need for that word and that pitch. So lift every voice. I, e, oi. Till earth and heaven. And that takes a lot more concentration. But once you and if you can practice just on the vowels of the words, it really helps with our smooth singing. It helps with the placement. And when we go to add the articulation, it can be even clearer because the voice needs the vowel to be clear. So instead of lift every voice, we're consonant heavy, lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. But that vowel space is consistent, and that is what is helping the voice carry and travel freely. Okay, so understanding the vowel space that we need for the range, for the words that we're singing, and everything in between. So those are just two quick space tips that you can use. Now moving on to smile. And we talked about being able to project that sound. So that is the difference between singing. I'm going to sing without a smile. Lift every voice and sing till earth and That's without a smile, okay? And everyone I see, none of my people on here don't have a smile. So even with the smile, it already improves the quality of our sound. So if you have trouble maintaining the smile, I call it singing on point, where we just take our fingers and lift up here. And so instead of lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the heart. So we can get used to those muscles being up and lifting them with our fingers, but then get used to what it feels like. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. And then when you get used to that muscle memory, remove your fingers, and then hopefully your cheeks, you'll be able to maintain that. But being able to maintain that placement lifts the voice out of the throat. It gives us more clarity in the sound. You already heard the difference. All right. So practice singing on a point. Another thing would be getting a twang in the song. All right. So that is where that mixed belt, that's where that really resonant sound comes from. And I might practice it doing nwang, 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 nwang. And we're like, Dr. Lori, I don't want to sing in my nose. I don't want to sing in my nose. And I get that. But getting used to that placement, getting used to that resonance allows the voice to be projected and heard without pushing. So I'll add that to I'll add that to the space. I'll add it to the breath. I'll add it to the strength. All for lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Without that twang, that sound can fall in the back and can get really muddled and get really dull and be and strain in our throat. Okay. So that twang, that singing on the point, that smile really allows the voice to be projected out of the throat and placed in a way that we can sing without strain. All right. So that is the purpose of the smile. And these are 2 tips to help you sing even more and implement the smile in our singing. Lastly, the last S would be submit. And that would be submitting to the voice that you have. All right. The voice God gave you. And that starts by listening to your voice, learning what you sound like, and listening for the good things as well as the things that we want to work on. All right. Listen for the things that you do well. Oh, I really held that phrase out. Oh, I like that color. Oh, I like that emotion. Start listening for the things that we like, in addition to, oh, I'd like to do more of that, or I'd like to hold that longer. I'd like to sing higher there. Excuse me. So start to fall in love with your sound, period. All right. And that comes from listening to yourself more and more. And trust me, I have been there where I told my teacher, I know you all have heard, some of you have heard me tell this story where I told my voice teacher, oh, I don't like to hear myself sing. So I've definitely been there. And she said, well, if you don't want to hear you, why should anyone else? All right. I will keep telling that story until I can't speak anymore, until I can't teach anymore. But if you don't love your sound, whether with all the kinks, flaws and all, then why would we expect anyone else to, and that's where that insecurity really comes from. All right. We don't have enough love and appreciation for our own sound. And that doesn't mean that what it is what it's always going to be. It gives us, hopefully it gives you more freedom to explore. It gives you more freedom to try out new things, to play around with stuff and be like, oh, let me see if I can do this. So hopefully it gives you more freedom to play with your voice, have fun with your sound, and just love the voice that you have been given. All right. Another tip in submitting to our sound would be speak the expression that you want. All right. So if I have the words lift every voice and sing, and I wanted to express it in my singing, but I said it, lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. You won't believe me. But if I take the time to speak it, lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening sky, glistening skies, whatever it is. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Forgive me, ancestors, if I got the words wrong. But if you're able to speak it with the expression, with the intention that you want to communicate, and you can take the time to do that, even in the little words, even in the little things, 9 times out of 10, it will transfer over into your singing. And what is motivating that sound is not how long you can hold the notes, not how high you can hit the notes, but the feeling and the emotion and the expression that you want to convey to your audience. I don't care what it is you're singing. I don't care. All right. So those are these 5S practice tips that I want you all to start working on. All right. You can start implementing those on your own to start working on your own system of establishing your technique. Now, this is what the 5S Academy offers. All right. I have a comprehensive step-by-step curriculum where I have videos, libraries, and exercises, demonstrations of all of these concepts. You can have access to these concepts well beyond the academy, but this is where I break down that vocal technique, the explanations. I don't go, 10 years into the training, but I give you that scientific foundation and explanation of how to better understand how the voice works and how to get it to work for you. All right. And from that, you have the libraries, the demonstrations. And from that, I give you a clear practice plan designed just for you that incorporates the videos. These aren't videos that I share on my social media. These are specifically for the academy. So after we do right here your vocal assessment and diagnostic, I take you through your vocal ranges. I assess what your breathing capacity is. I assess the areas that need and what access, or what work they need. And then I design a practice plan with practice videos specifically for you and isolating the things that your voice needs to grow and strengthen on, things that work better for your range, things that work better for the style that you're studying, all the things. Okay. So even though we have an entire library of videos and demonstrations, in your practice plan, I choose videos specifically for what I think will get you to the next level in each of these S's. Okay. So you have the vocal assessment. We all start off with that. We also have individual one-on-one sessions. In the 6-month time frame, you have 12 one-on-one sessions. We, as a group, meet every Monday for live coaching. So that is where I'm analyzing more singing. I'm going deeper into my teaching and into the concepts. If there are any questions, many times that community of when we are talking about what we're working on has helped each other. And when we're talking about repertoire, all types of things. So that community has been wonderful with us being able to pour into each other, but also be being able to elaborate on concepts with the whole group. And then another aspect is tailored video feedback. So if you're working on something and you may not want to use one of your individual sessions, you could send me a video in the academy and then I will send you video feedback. So if there is something, maybe you got a performance coming up this weekend and you're like, oh, I don't have time to do a whole session, but Dr. Lori, can you listen to this and tell me what you think? You can send me that and I can give you video feedback. So that's more of an asynchronous way to have access and to work on your training. All right. Also, exclusive access to the singer community, which is the classes and our discussion board. We have accountability and support for each other. So we get exercises to work on a regular basis. And it is a safe and supportive environment. All right. So with all of that, the tuition for the 6-month program is $1,800. I'm only taking a few singers per month because I can only handle so much for capacity with one-on-one lessons, and an application is required. So if anyone is interested, you can just scan that QR code and it will take you to, oh, actually, let me take you, I'm going to drop the link in the chat as well. But it can take you to blah, 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 blah. Let me X out of this. Crapola. It will take you to the website, the web page of where you can apply for the academy. Let me put this in the chat. If you have any other questions, you feel free to ask that. And let me put this here. There we go. Ba-ba-ba-da-ba. And you can also scan that QR code, which I just took away, but that will take you to the Academy application. And then this is also the other offers and packages that I have. I think each of you have had a package or another at some point, but this is what I have available here. That link is going in the chat as well. And another thing I've started offering is that vocal diagnostic that I do at the beginning of the academy. I'm offering that separately. So if you do want to go through that and do want to get a practice plan, that is available under the plans and pricings. And if you decide after you get the diagnostic and the plan that you would like to continue, then I'll just deduct that from the total of the academy. So if you do want to see what your range is like, what types of things, what an assessment would be for you, and what exercises you can work on to strengthen those areas, that is available in the vocal assessment and diagnostic. It's called the 5S vocal assessment. Okay. All right. I think that is my spiel. That's everything that I have to share with you all today. Did we have any questions about any of that? Any of the concepts, exercises, anything in the academy, anything at all? And you can come off mute. We have enough time.
Yeah, I'll ask a question.
Yes. Hey,
do you have a tip about the tightness, getting tight when you're singing?
Yes. I teach a lot with the yawn space and being able to maintain that when you're singing, but you're going to have to practice that. And if you're practicing your song, where do you feel it specifically? In a certain part of your range?
I don't think it's a certain part of my range. I guess maybe if I haven't warmed up enough or I haven't been singing. Yeah.
So you already have solved your own problem. You have answered your own question. These are muscles. And if you went and got on the treadmill and started running, you think your muscles are going to be like, oh yes, let's run. Yeah, I know. They're going to be like, ma'am, we need to stretch. We need to slow walk this thing. Okay. And the older we get, we got to slow walk that thing and make sure the muscles are ready for work. This is sport. This is consistent muscle and breath and all that use when we are singing. I don't care what style it is. So if our muscles aren't prepared for that steady work, they're going to tighten up on us. So start there. Let's start with a good warm up. All right. Let me do some lip trills. All right, Larissa, you know better. All right. Any other questions? I know you know better. You better start getting them warm-ups out, child. All right. Any other questions? No? All right, my beautiful darlings. Well, let me know if you all, again, you can email me anything else if you want to pass this on to some other people. I am going to share the link to the webinar. So if you have some people you think might be interested and they can watch that, you can share that with them. And I'll share the links as well if you want to look at the other packages. All right.
Good.
All right. Y'all be great. Have a great weekend. Happy Valentine's Day. Okay. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.